Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. If you like the content, like the video, please hit that thumbs up. So today we are in the garage and we're going to be working on this thing. Let's just get into it. Well, like I said, we're going to be working on this thing today. And this year I've kind of done something a little different with doing a few little things here and there and then going right into the racing. This video is going to be a little bit different because we're going to be doing a lot of work to this thing. We got a couple months off, I think 2.5 months off for the summer, which is very nice because we won't be dying out on the racetrack in 110 degree heat and humidity. So I really appreciate that from the track this year. So we're trying something different. Last year about killed us out there, but we did good. But it's nice to, get the summer off in the Florida heat. But so since we have the downtime, we're going to do some modifications to this thing. Nothing big, nothing fancy-ish, but it's the trying to get the car better. So that's what we're going to try to do. So with that, the first major thing we're going to do is in this little box. So what we have here, if you can read that, we ordered a Rhodes anti-roll bar for this car. It does not have one on it, and as you can see in all the videos, it pulls the driver's wheel, passenger wheel staying on the ground, which plays heck with the wheelie bars and this thing going wherever it wants to. And it can't be good on the chassis to be twisting this much every time we go down the track. And well, we're going to try to fix that. So, and today we're going to get the cars already up on jack stands, but we're going to pull the rear tire off and we're going to unbox this kit from Rhodes and see how we're going to get this thing mounted in there. Now, I trust my welding to a point. I don't trust it enough to weld on a race car. So we are going to go to another shop once I figure this out, kinda, and we're going to get this welded on by somebody that I know and I trust. That way, when I let off the trans brake and go hauling down the track, I won't have to worry about the welds breaking. So we're going to unbox this thing, pull the wheel off, and just kind of see what's what and how we're going to do this and see if we can't figure it out. And then we got to basically start pulling sheet metal out of the back of the car and get this thing prepped to take to the other shop. And I'll let you know who we're taking that to when we get there. I know this is not a great picture, but I think I'm going to mount somewhere close to this brake line rail, and then that sticks out over there right above where the top of the rear end is. Like I said, it's not a great picture, so we're definitely going to have to pull the wheel wells, which I was hoping I wouldn't have to do, but to get access to what I need to do, I'm going to have to pull those too. So we're going to pull the hatch off and start pulling all the aluminum out of here to get us access back to where we need to be, and we'll go from there. Okay, so we got the hatch off. As you can see, we got to take all this sheet metal back out of the car so we can get to basically right underneath here where the axle is. So pull the tubs out, pull all this back metal out, and that way we can have access. So doing that now. Well, we are definitely getting somewhere now. So inner wheel well is out, some of the metal is out. So we're going to move over to the passenger side, take that wheel off, take the well out, and then I think I can get away with one more piece of metal up in here, and it'll give us access to what we need to get this to work. So I'll be back in a second. Well, we have all of the sheet metal out of the back of the car, and now we have access to the top of the rear end. So we're going to see if we can't fit this up and see how it's going to go in here. First and foremost, do not laugh at my tape. I cannot find my clamps, so this holds it in place. You can see it kind of go across. Now obviously I have to cut and fit everything because that is not the correct angle, but this is just for a reference to see if my idea and location will work, and it will. I also know that I got to put the jack under the rear end and get it to ride height, so this bar will get cut to fit, and I'll have a little bit of adjustability. Most likely I'm going to fix the shock bar where it attaches to get the shock more in line with everything. And then I'm also going to modify this bracket that attaches here because I have no adjustability here to raise and lower the ride height of the car. So when I take it to the shop to get it all welded and fixed, this is all that I'm going to get fixed while it's there. So the rear end and everything will be able to adjust pretty much everything where right now I can't. But this is for reference. I know it's not 100% lined up. I have a brake line bracket in the way over on this side that I'm going to have to move, but this is the idea. So now I just got to make the appointment to get to the race shop and get all this cut, fit, welded in place, and then go to the track and try it out. So it'll be a whole new car. First time down the track, so it'll be very interesting. So this is, next time you see this, we'll hopefully be at the weld shop and getting this all done. So I'll be back in a little while. Alright, so we did a thing today in the shop with the help of my brother that is down from Missouri. So these plates I took to my buddy's shop and had him weld these two holes up for me to get everything lined up, and he welded the top end of the nuts on. So today, with my brother's help, we did a thing. Let me get climbed in here. So we did some welding, and we got the brackets to the frame welded in. So all I have left to do now is grind those locations down, put my tabs on that I have down here. So put these handy dandy tabs on the rear end, like them so, and then cut this tube to fit the right angle of a dangle, and then cut this bar, and then weld these in permanent, and then this thing will be done. So we are getting a lot closer, which is awesome. So thanks for the help, bro. Glad you're down here visiting and sweating your ass off with me down here in the shop working on this thing. But so yeah, we got her tacked in and welded, and still got a little bit of welding up underneath the bracket to the frame rail once I get all the lines and stuff out of the way, but one step closer. So we'll be back. Alright, so while we were waiting on stuff, we got these wire wheeled down, got them painted. They're marked this for what side they go on, and we started putting some tin back in, since all we got to do is work up there. So, but I think that's about as much tin as we can put in. I did get everything painted like we said, so we're just waiting on the rest of it, and we'll get this thing wrapped up and get ready to go race. So I'll be back after a while. Okay, so here is the finished product. Got it cut to length, made sure we had these on before we welded these bars on. Here's the strut ends that go in. They should be set pretty close. Might have to do some final adjustments once we get it on, but that's where it is. So I was not going to do a product review, and I don't think I am. I really like the bar. It's really well made. The only problem I have is right here. It's the hardware. So I don't like the hardware they sent. So I went and got new hardware, and I'll tell you why. So if you see this shank part, it doesn't go through all the way through the bar. So you're going to have these rod ends beaten on these threads, which isn't good because over time these threads will wear down and it'll cause slop. So I went out and bought these bolts. See how the shank goes all the way across? See how those don't? So this, now your rod end right here sets all the way on the shank part, so there's no chance of these threads wearing down. Worst case, you got to put a couple washers or a washer on the end, and then I will cut the end of these bolts off so they're only as long as I need. Same thing with these bolts they sent with the kit, no shank. These have a shank. So what that does is when you put this bolt in here to bolt it to the car, both sides of this bar, which is taking the entire weight of the car and every bit of force, is riding on these threads, and over time you're going to wear those threads down and possibly shear that bolt, which will cause problems. So I went and got a shank bolt. So now once I get that through both sides, put a couple washers on it, even it out, then it's riding on the shank, less likely to shear. Just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think in the comments if you want to, but that's the way I've always done it, is these bolts will not work. These are the ones they shipped with the kit. So I bought new ones. So we're going to get into the install, but it's all cleaned, it's all painted, it's all ready to go in. So we'll be back in a second. All right, here we have it. It is installed. Tabs on the rear end, everything's all painted. It's dirty because we've been fingering it. You can see the one on the other side. Bar's kind of right there if you can see it. So she's all in, she's all torqued down, and anti-roll bar install is complete. So that's it for this. We will be going to the track next week for a race, untested, which isn't great, but it's going to be what it's going to be. So we will be back in a minute. Well, this is the next project on the list, why we have some downtime. And although from where you're standing, it seems like it's good, this thing is hacked up pretty good and was hidden under about an inch thick Bondo. Now, whoever did the Bondo work did an excellent job, because I would have never guessed that this was under here. But I'm going to take you up close and I'm going to show you why we're going to fix this. So this lip is pretty big, so this was off Bondoed in, and then it goes up to where I think the factory part of the wheel well was, and then I'm pretty sure that the factory quarter ended here, because then you get to all of these patch panel things that were just kind of welded in here to fill the void when they opened up the wheel well. And we're going to get rid of all that, and we're going to see if we can fix this while we're in here as well, so it doesn't look so bad and we don't have to use as much Bondo. And how are we going to fix that, you say? Well, according to everybody on Facebook and the Vega groups, you buy a 2nd gen Nova wheel well opening, and it is just wide enough to fit. So this is kind of what we're going to do. We're going to kind of take all this out and cut and weld this in to where it fits, and it looks a lot better. So I'm going to get this kind of fit up to where I think it's going to go, and once I get it all clamped into place, we'll be back. So there it is, just kind of setting up there. I don't know about you, but that looks way better. I still have a ton of work to do, so basically I have to make sure it's sitting level with this all the way across. Obviously I have to trim this side because it does not fit down here. from what I see in that everybody does, they basically cut this panel in half along here, and then they make the factory quarter kind of sit in there, and that way they can close up this gap, so this will be basically here, and then in the back side this will be back here. Kind of wish I'd have been the one that originally done this, but I'm not. I mean, this car's 30 some years old, the build anyway, so I'm gonna do my best to fix this the way I can. But this is where we're gonna start. I'm gonna start measuring and doing some fitting, and then we'll come back once I get all that done. All right, so we have our initial marks. So I've got this squared with the window trim, so we're down 4 1/4 inches all the way across. I've got my panel half line, so we're going to cut it on this side of the tape. That way both sides will be 24 1/4 length. So I think the way it sits, I have this body line pretty much the same, so we're going to try to take all this out with this panel. I think I can pretty much do it. But this panel line obviously does not line up, so I'll probably just cut this panel at this body line here, and then I'll just, wherever it fits on the body, that's where I'll splice it into. Playing that by ear once I get this more fit. So the game plan now is to take this fender, the patch panel, off the car, then cut this in half, and then fit the two halves up individually so I can figure out where they're going to fit exactly on the car, and then I can start cutting the panel to fit the car. So that's kind of where we're at right now. So once I cut this panel in half, I will be back. Alright, well, there's no turning back now. I done cut the panel in half. So also I cut this off as well so I can weld that in. I still have to do a bunch of trimming, but basically show how the new wheel well is going to look. I've got it spliced into here the best I can, I think. So we'll put a line across here. That'll be my cut. And then I'll have to figure out how I'm going to do all this back here. But she's lined up with the tape on top. I'll put new tape lines here. That way I put the panels back exactly where I have them. This is going to stay original, and then we'll weld this into the original quarter. But for now, one step closer. We'll do some more trimming, a little bit more fitting. I probably won't come all the way back here and do this. I'll probably come up this side somehow, so I won't have as much welding to do. We'll see once I get this a little more fitted in. But like I said, I have to get around this door and this jam because we overlap it pretty good. So I'm going to get that figured out next, and we'll be back. Well, here we go. So we got some more trimming done. I left about a 1/2 inch on the door seal all the way down. Got it cut. It's lined up with this line, lined up with this line. Line this back up, and then I did a diagonal cut because all this is really good metal, so I didn't want to really have to cut it out. So I did a diagonal across down to the bottom, and then I got my tape line through here, which you can't really see right now because of the light. But basically everywhere that is black I'm going to cut out and then fit these panels back inside the tape line. And hopefully I did this right after I cut this out, because there will be no turning back after that, and I'll have to make it work. So that's what we got. We're going to cross our I's and dot our T's and before we start cutting the metal out of the car, but we're at that step, so I will be back in a second. Alright, well, it's a little late for that panel because it got cut out. All that is now gone, and now we have the new panel fit. So all we need to do now is get that tack welded in, and the new front half is done. Now just have to cut the back half out. So we'll be back in a second. All right, the back half or back part of the quarter panel is cut off, and while I was in there, I went ahead and cut off some extra metal that was on the inside of the quarter that I didn't need. So trying to do some weight savings while I'm in here, but it is there. It is all fit up. So new quarter panel patches are in. We have one continuous wheel well now with a factory bend and factory wheel lip with no extra metal. So I'm hoping that this is going to be a little bit lighter. It will definitely look better when it's all welded. So that's all we have left to do. We are going to clean up the inside back area of this corner, take out some more metal that doesn't need to be in there. Like I said, I'm trying to shave some weight, so we're going to lose that stuff back in there. But the quarter panel patches are pretty much done other than being welded in. I am beat for the day because it's hotter than a mofo out here in the shop. But I'm going to do a little bit more, and then we're going to start getting these welded in. So once I get these tacked in place, I will be back. Alrighty, we are back in the garage, and we have the front piece tacked in place. So it's fit, tacked, and then we have the back fit and tacked in place. So you might notice that I cut this out because I was not happy with the way it fit, and it was full of corrosion and rust and Bondo and everything else, so I cut it out. You might also notice that I cut the lower quarter panel out because it was hacked up as well. And let me show you what I mean. So here it is. Here's what I cut out, and this is the reason why. Because this is what was welded into the car. So it is no longer welded in because I cut it off. So I'm gonna fab that patch, and then this is the other piece that I cut out. It's full of no goodness. So we're gonna make these two pieces. We have no templates except what's on the car. Now that I have everything tacked in place, I know exactly where it needs to go. Once I get these two pieces fit up and make it look as good as I can, then we will tack those in place and we will be back. So see you in a bit. Okie dokie, here is the final result. So the patch is tacked in. So on to the next one. Alrighty, here's the last patch panel. Gonna fill in this hole right here. So we're gonna get this all tacked up and we'll be back. Alright, so there is the patch panel tacked in place. So we're gonna clean all this up and then we're gonna start welding all this in, and then we will be done with this side. So we'll be back in a few. Alright, so we are done. It is completely welded. It is completely ground down. So we are going to put some corrosion inhibitor on it to protect the welds. And after that, we're going to be done for the day. We'll come out tomorrow and throw some primer on it. But for today, it's done. So we'll be back after a while. So just in case anybody is wondering, I have spent 5.5 hours out here today doing this to get to this point. It's welded, ground down, fit up, 2 fab panels made from scratch. 5.5 hours. So that's what it took me today. Alright, we are back in the garage today, and we've got all the hammer and dolly done, and we have put the first 2 coats of metal etch primer on to seal up all the welds. As you can tell, you can almost not see the welds just with the primer on. So we're going to do some touch up with the Bondo once this gets dry. Feather everything in, make it all nice and pretty, and the hope is you will never know this work was done. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I didn't get much done last weekend because I was waiting on Bondo to dry and everything else, but this is the finished quarter panel ready to paint, and I just wanted to show you how much or how little Bondo I actually used. So it's just a skim coat, just fills in all the imperfections. It's very thin, so it's not laser straight, but it is also good enough for 5 feet, and that's kind of what I was going for. So I also fit this last piece in here that I needed to hold the wheel well in. So I put the wheel well back in, fit this up, welded it in, got it tacked in place, so it's good. So we are ready to paint. So I will get the first coat of primer on and we'll be back. Okay, we have the metal etch primer sprayed all the bare metal. So we're gonna let that sit up for a little while, and then we'll come back and hit it with the 2K primer. And I've already noticed a couple spots I got to touch up before we put paint on, but that'll be after I get the primer on. So once this dries, I will be back. Alright, we got the 2K high build primer on, so looking pretty good. Pretty happy the way it turned out. I've got a few spots, little pinholes here and there that I have to get out, but we'll add that once this dries, and then do the first sand and then prime it again. So back in a minute. Alright, the primer's dry, and you can see all the little red dots we got all over the place. That's all the little spots that I had to get touch up. We'll let that dry, and then we'll sand all this down and see what else we got to do. But just the process, it's not fast, that's for sure. Well, another Saturday in the shop, and another Saturday we got it done. So by all means, it is not perfect, it is not a show car, but for the first time since I've essentially owned the car and started going through it, this quarter is no longer gray and green. It is blue. So it is done. There's the side view, you can see. So not too shabby if I say so myself. So she's done, and we're off to the next project. Alright, so both projects are done, and we got this car put back together. All the sheet metal's in, everything's good to go, tires and everything are on, everything's set for race day, which is coming up real fast, but it's all finally back together. So we just have to go through and get a bunch of cleaning done, and we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, car's all cleaned up, all vacuumed out inside, everything's wiped down. I got all the couple inches of dust off of it from being in the garage doing body work and stuff. So it's all cleaned up. This video is going to be done for the day. Just to give you guys kind of an idea how long this took. My summer was kind of all screwed up with a bunch of other stuff going on, but we tore the car apart after the last race in May, and the next race we have is actually this coming weekend, the first weekend in September. So car's been down for about 3 months. So just to give you an idea how long this takes, it's going to be a pretty long video, so hope that's okay. Anyway, if you like the video, like the content, please hit that thumbs up. If you have not subscribed, please hit that subscribe button. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything, so I would appreciate it. Check out my other videos. Check out my other page that I have. Get on Facebook, like those. You see more in-depth stuff about what's going on that I don't post as much here. So, again, thanks, and we'll see you next time.